Let's rework our head rig. So by the looks of it, there's really not much to change. The pivot of the neck is at a great spot. The head bone, we may be able to reposition that. Let's go to our move tool. We'll make sure it's set to object mode by holding down the W key, holding down the left mouse button, which will send us into the move tool's quad menu. And at that point, we can go ahead and grab our object mode and then simply move the head bone up until the head pivots from a better spot. Okay, great. So I'd say there's not much to tweak other than that. The head control is clearly identified as the head control. What that means is we don't really need to reposition this at all. It's very easy to select, so it's good for the animator to work with. You can see its pivot is no longer aligned to the head bone. So let's say we go to pivot mode. We'll also hold down the V key and middle mouse button drag until the pivot snaps to the head joint. Problem solved. All right. What we'll now do is go to our brow bones. We'll start to tweak those. We'll bring them up so that they are aligned to the character's brows and not to the cheeks. So let's say we go to world mode now with our move tool. Another way to access that menu is by double clicking on the tool in the toolbar. All right, so at this point we can go ahead and translate these up. It's a good idea to show the character's mesh so we know exactly where to place these joints. I'll also go to shading and turn on wireframe on shaded for that same reason. So we're not blindly repositioning these assets, these objects. Okay, so that looks good. Now at this point, we'll need to correct the placement of our animation controls. So what I'll now do is go ahead and template the character again. These brows, they are directly controlled by a locator that is driven by these control curves. So we'll need to find the locators. I'll go ahead and grab the left control. We could start with it. I'll press the down arrow. That'll take us to its shape, but now we can press the right direction button to grab the next object on that same level in this object's hierarchy. All right, so notice we have the locator now selected. Let's go ahead and show it. And we'll simply go ahead and snap it to our brow joint. So we'll go ahead and select in the center of our manipulator to refresh it so we can move in all axes. We can hold down the V key and now snap to our brow bone. Let's do the same thing for the right side. Again, we select our object, hit the down arrow. Now we can hit the right arrow to go to the next object in that hierarchy. We can go ahead and show our locator. And now we can snap to our brow joint. Okay, so once that's in place, let's go ahead and hide those locators. The next step is to correct the control objects themselves. Now you can see translation is locked down. All right, no need to worry. We'll just go to component mode, grab our curves, bring these up. Let's go ahead and go back to reference mode so we can make sure that these objects are easy to select. Okay, that looks good. Next, we'll need to correct the pivot of the two controls. So it's just a matter of going to our object mode on our two control objects and vert snapping to our brow joint. Simple as that. Let's make sure it is locked to the brow bone. We'll just need to double check that in multiple angles just to make sure that the pivot is exactly where it needs to be. We'll do the same thing for the right side, and now we can test this by rotating our control object. Notice everything is just fine. Great. So that finishes up our work here. In the next lesson, we'll bring In the next lesson, we will bring our attention to the shoulder.